And we want to begin the broadcast with the intensifying talks about talks. And Azimio leader Raila Odinga now wants the bipartisan parliamentary engagement process between the Kenya Kwanza government and his Azimio coalition to be expanded to include stakeholders outside the Houses of Parliament, saying that the issues at hand are far-reaching and beyond the scope of members of Parliament alone. Raila is proposing a Kofi Annan 2008 National Accord style of engagement that will isolate issues into priority categories. Odinga spoke after a meeting that brought together Azimio la Umoja One Kenya principals Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, and the coalition minority leadership in Parliament. And as Chemutai Goi now reports, the talks about talks come 2 days after President William Ruto extended an olive branch to the opposition and set in motion what the president described as a bipartisan parliamentary engagement.
After hours of deliberations, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leadership emerged to set their terms for the proposed bipartisan parliamentary process, with the opposition warning that it expects cooperation from the government side.
We said we are calling a truce, a ceasefire, to give negotiations a chance. But we want to reiterate very clearly here that if the other side does not cooperate, then we will have no other option but to go back to the trenches. And this will be maybe as early as sometimes next week.
The Azimio coalition now proposes an expanded process that includes stakeholders other than members of the two houses of parliament. The proposed structure, according to the Azimio coalition, should mirror the 2008 Kofi Annan-led national dialogue, with Odinga arguing that MPs alone would not be sufficient to address the issues at hand.
It is the resolution of this meeting that a purely parliamentary process will not serve the intended ends. This process, we want it to be akin to the process that was led by Kofi Annan, that is going to have members of parliament in it, but they are going to sit outside parliament. They will negotiate and only take the final product to parliament as an accord, which will then be passed by parliament. We don't want it to be taken and then be encumbered with those rules and so on of parliament.
Commenting on speculation around the events preceding the suspension of the demonstrations and President Ruto's offer of truce, Odinga clarified that there was no meeting between them prior to their respective pronouncements.
The request came from the other side, and our people responded and gave conditions. There have even been allegations that I met Mr. Ruto, maybe, I don't know, in the Mara and so on. Nothing could be further from the truth. There has been no meeting between me and Mr. Ruto. But we say that the statement did not include what had been agreed.
He at the same time hit out at Kenya Kwanza leaders, accusing him of seeking to be accommodated into government.
We have never talked about a handshake. That is a language coming from the other side. They're the ones who have been saying, oh, these people, unataka tu handshake, nusu mukati, and so on. Take it to Mr. Gachagua. Tell me, I don't even want to shake his hands.
Among issues Azimio added to the list of demands is that of the cost of living.
The regime must take immediate steps to bring back the cost of unga to Kenya shillings 100 as at the time of the election. We further resolved that Kenya Kwanza must take immediate steps to lower the costs of fuel and put a freeze on the recent increase in the cost of electricity. These are not matters for a committee.
While criticizing the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome, for the brutal force meted on its supporters and journalists during the protest, Odinga, who had earlier paid a visit to those nursing injuries at the Kenyatta National Hospital and Bagathi Hospital, demanded that the government foots the bill for those injured and compensation for those whose lives were lost. Chemutai Goi, Citizen TV.